I have a full testament. Watch my daughter play any weekend, and you'll be like, all right, that shit works, right? Boom! Boom! What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com, CEO! MTS Nutrition alongside
Katie Lobliner.
I get excited when I talk about this because those of you who follow my Instagram, by the way, guys, follow my Instagram. It's at Marc Lobliner, just like it sounds, just like it's spelled, except without the K. And Lobliner is weird. Marc Lobliner, M-A-R-C-L-O-B-L-I-N-E-R. Follow me on Instagram. You get a lot of tips and stuff with me training my kids and stuff. And that brings up a good question. Katie asked at the gym, we have a 5-year-old son named Preston. We also have an almost 10-year-old son named Thomas. And we have a 12-year-old standout named Cammie.
Girl.
Yeah. Yes.
Girl.
We don't assume gender on this channel, though. Katie, stop assuming gender. You're going to trigger me.
Oh, did you say
and I'm going to melt like a little snowflake. Check it out, guys. When should I start training my child? And the answer is...
when they're ready.
It depends on the kid. Now, it's not about physical preparedness. Kids can always do physical stuff. It's like, when can a kid deadlift? As soon as he sees a little toy block on the floor and he goes down with perfect, impeccable form with their legs, picks it up. When can a kid squat? As soon as he starts shitting, kid can squat. When can a kid bench press? Well, if he's on the playground, little Billy's fucking with him, and he pushes him away, congratulations. He just has all the biomechanics for a bench press. When can little Billy overhead press? Little Billy's the one who just got pushed, so he needs to work on his strength to fight back. Little Billy, as soon as he goes to throw something on top, he just overhead pressed. You get what I'm saying? The biomechanics to weight training, they're all there. The thing is, when you train somebody, they need to be able to receive direction. They need to be able to take direction, and they need to be able to accept that direction and translate that into movement.
Which 5-year-old Preston is not ready to do.
But there are 5-year-olds out there. You heard stories about Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, when he was 2 years old, emulating his dad's golf swing.
It's different.
Preston ain't emulating shit right now. Preston, I'm happy you can build Legos. Like, honestly, like, there's number one. How do you get your kids to train? Well, give them direction. Like, hey, put that Lego piece on top of that Lego piece. Congratulations, you just did a regression in weight training. Because weight training, the number one regression is accepting information and then processing it and translating that into movement. That's how you teach. That's how you train. So, okay, let's assume that you take your kid in and you're like, all right, do a push-up, and here's how you do it, and you do it, and they do it. They do a push-up. You're like, holy fuck, is your kid ready? Might be. Definitely might be. So here's the biggest issue. Why you probably shouldn't train your kid. Why you should leave it up to child training experts or coaches who have been trained in. For example, I always promote Exos because it's what I spent my tens of thousands of dollars to become an expert in. Exos is a training methodology where we teach regressions. So you don't take a child, okay, let me give you an example. Katie, you were here for this.
I know what you're going to say.
So we're at Cammie's game yesterday, and Cammie in soccer is the shit. And we're talking to one of our fellow parents, and she's like, well, what if my daughter was to do what you do? I said, well, it would take you about 2 to 3 years to do the movements Cammie's doing with her velocity, because that's what it takes. So when you start training children, a lot of people, gym rats, you know, no offense, there's nothing wrong with being a gym rat, but you could hurt your fucking kids. If you go in there and have a kid who has no core strength, who hasn't done the regressions, and throw them into back squats and deadlifts and bench press, and they're gonna hurt themselves. And they could potentially, they won't make them so they don't grow taller. You're not gonna shut up their growth plates, but you will develop some overuse injuries. You will develop a lot of things. In fact, a lot of the soccer coaches, like Coach William Zardetto, hate soccer camps because of the overuse of the hip you do during that week.
Over and over. Yeah.
So it's all about rest and periodization. And if you go to like an Exos training, they space things out and they recover, they regen. Regen is the name of our recovery day. So let's say, this is just an example. This isn't going to be a 20-minute video. Let's take a squat. When can my child squat? Good question. Can your child hold a plank hard for 30 seconds with full contraction? Step one. Awesome. Has your child had experience with a goblet squat? Does your child have perfect mechanics where their body goes down, their heels do not raise, and can your child maintain full depth without a butt wink? Once you answer those, if you did answer those, yes, your child has probably been training for over a year. At that point, you could look into examining if they can start adding load to their back squat. Okay, deadlift, same thing. Can your child do a wall-facing deadlift without either hitting the wall or falling backwards? Can your child hold a plank? There's so many qualifications and regressions to each of the compound lifts that my answer is, it depends. But as far as if you know how to train your kids, when to train your kids, the answer is when they can accept information. Now, the smarter kids, females, boys are retarded up till about 10 years old, and then they're retarded past that.
Well, like in your experience with training like Thomas, before, I say maybe a year or two ago, when he would give him any direction, he'd get very emotional, like start crying. And if he failed at something, he'd get very emotional and start
Especially
crying.
Especially with Cammy knocking it out of the park every time.
So like that was kind of, you know, he was ready, but lacked a little bit of maturity in dealing with criticism, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so what we did is we had to develop that. And that took a year of me kind of babying him, but also knowing when to lean in and push him to the point where he does cry.
Overly encourage him.
Oh, yeah. Positive reinforcement is definite must with children.
Yeah.
And, you know, Cammy, you know what? Sometimes she'll have such a good lift, and Thomas as well, that we'll go get ice cream. You know, it's one of those where we give them that reward program is fine. So what I'm saying, guys, is when is your child old enough to start training? Well, as soon as doesn't matter. They could be 2 if they can accept information and regurgitate it and practice it. My kids weren't ready at 2. My daughter wasn't really able to train hard till probably 7 is when she was able to really get into it and take you know, do kettlebell swings and things like that. That's another thing. Can your kid hip hinge? See, there's so many things involved in training children that you probably don't know. That's why you need to find an expert. And how do you find an expert? I have no fucking idea. I look for someone who is the only one, again, the one I know. And there's more, but I don't know them and I can't vouch for them because I haven't been a part of them. And I have a full testament. Watch my daughter play any weekend and you'll be like, all right, that shit works, right? So find an Exos phase 3.
I also think that at the very young age, like what we did with Cammy and Thomas, they went to Little Gym and they just did coordination type stuff.
That's perfect.
And balance and
baseball,
core strength.
So
some kind of physical activity like Preston does his little soccer school, teaching him stuff. So don't like skip all kinds of physical activity. Do things that are relevant for their age.
No. I think what I'm going to go with is the number one thing is as early as you can, get your child involved in some kind of a sport activity, an organized activity, whether it's Little Gym, whether it's Little League, whether it's Little Kickers. Get them involved in something because what do those do, Katie? They put them in a group and it teaches them to take direction from a superior. Anyway, guys. Thanks for watching. And if you're not following me on Instagram, I post all this shit on Instagram. It's at Marc Lobliner. A lot of in my story, I put a lot of Cammy and Thomas's training that I don't put on Instagram on this channel. And also my other channel, or Tiger Fitness's other channel, youtube.com/Lobliner, aka the Ghetto channel. Subscribe to that shit as well. Anyway, I'm Marc Lobliner, and this is my wife, Katie. That's not a game.